الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.
Talking about something much deeper. And so he said that this is the real ilm, al-ilm billah, al-ulama billah, which would obviously include, Allah's, His attributes, how he works in His creation, these things. And then the third is Tawheed. And he said, this has become to mean sina'at al-kalam. It's theology. That's how people understand it. He said that this isn't how it was understood. Tawheed is much deeper than just learning these rules. It's actually perceiving God in creation. It's not in any anthropomorphic or hulul or anything. God is not His creation. But He is actively engaged in every instant in His creation. Allah is sustaining us. He's al-hayyul qayyum. La ta'khudhu sinatun wa la nawm. He doesn't blink. He doesn't have a nap. He can't, if Allah turned away from creation for one instant, it would all disappear. So the fact that He is actively engaged in His creation, this is real Tawheed. It's being aware that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala He is the reality behind all of this. He is al-hayy, the living, al-qayyum, the sustainer. One of them said in the dua to show us your qayyumiyataka sariyata fi jami' al-makhluqat. Show us how you're sustaining this thing in every instant, all of the creation. Kullu yawm huwa fi sha'n. He's always on, in other words, sustaining His creation. So this is real Tawheed, and that's why he puts Tawheed with Tawakkul in the Ihya later. He puts them together, because once you see that everything is in the hands of Allah, you trust in Allah. But if you're lost in the Al-Hakamu Takathuru, Takathur, which means Yatakatharun, like they're trying to vying to get more and more wealth. So that has them in lahu. But by ishara, al-hakamu takathuru, multiplicity, takatharat al-ashya. The multiplicity has you preoccupied. You're in takathur, you're not in tawheed. Hatta zurtum al-maqabir, until you go to your graves, and then you become completely present. So this is an illusion. All of this multiplicity that you're seeing it's real. We're not Hindus. It's real, but the reality of it is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sustaining it in every instant. And He created it with haqq, bil haqq. And so that's real tawheed. It's not this other thing. That's what he's saying. And he said this leads to tark shikayat al-khalq. If you have real tawheed, you stop complaining about creation. Tark al-ghadab alayhim, you stop hating them. You don't get angry at people. In the same way, it's not, and don't think, this is not Sufi quietism. It's not like you don't see injustice and you try to right it. You have a different understanding. You see it as ibtila. لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. He created this situation to test us. How are we going to respond? How are we going to act? But you have to see that Allah is allowing this whole thing to happen. And so you stop complaining, you stop getting angry, وَالرِّضَى وَالتَّسْلِيمُ لِحُكْمِ اللَّهِ, and you become content with the hukm of Allah. Because you see it for what it is. Allah did this. He puts people over us. If we're bad, He puts people over us that don't fear us and they have no mercy with us. The Prophet ﷺ said, لا تجعل, he said that لا تسلط علينا بذنوبنا. Don't put over us, because of our sins, those that don't have any mercy. And the thing is, if you look at places where it's worse, often it's because those people are actually closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because إِذَا أَحَبَّ اللَّهُ قَوْمًا ابْتَلَاهُمْ. And so this is where you can't see it as, oh, they're getting what they deserve. It's like, no. We might deserve worse, but He's purifying them in this world. whereas you're going to get yours later. So you can't see it in some kind of simplistic, oh, they're just getting, again, it's not this kind of karmic thing where, well, the beggar, that's his own fault. We look with ayn shafaqa and rahmah, with mercy, and that Allah, the Prophet ﷺ said, جُعِلَ عَذَابُ أُمَّتِي فِي دُنْيَاهَا. Allah put the punishment of my ummah in this world. And so those people that are closest are going to get the worst. And also رَفَعُ الدَّرَجَاتِ. Allah elevates people, because it's either a punishment or it's رَفَعُ الدَّرَجَاتِ. He's elevating them in ranks. It's either one or the other. And it's not for us to decide. If you see somebody, a Muslim who's in tribulation, it's not for you to decide whether it's takfir al-dhanub or it's rafa' al-darajat. That's Allah's business. And so he said that is what will happen when you have that. And he said one of the fruits of Tawheed is Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, when it was said to him, he was sick, and they said, أَنَطُبُ لَكَ طَبِيبًا فَقَالَ أَطِبِيبًا أَمْرَضَنِي. Should we get you a doctor? He said, the doctor made me ill. And it's a high maqam. Abu Bakr is at a whole other level. فقول آخر لأبو بكر لما مرض قيل له ماذا قال لك الطبيب في مرضك قال لي إني فعال لما أريد. So they said to Abu Bakr, what did the doctor say? Who saw you? What did he say about your sickness? And he said, I do whatever I want. فَعَالُ لِمَا أُرِيد. That's what Allah says. فَعَالُ لِمَا يُرِيد. He does whatever He wants. In other words, it's His mulk. Our bodies are His dominion. If He wants to make us sick, He can make us sick. If He wants to keep us well, which again doesn't negate asbab, health, staying well, doing all those things. Right? And that's why إِذَا مَرْضْتُ فَهُوَ يَشْفِينِ. If I get sick, He heals me. That's what Ibrahim alayhi salam, right? He said the outward of it is to say La ilaha illallah with your tongue. But the inward of it is أن يرى الأمور كلها من الله رؤية تقطع التفاته عن الوسائط, that removes being caught up in the asbab, in the means. وأن يعبده عبادة يفرده بها فلا يعبد غيره. And he worships Him in a way that is completely, the worship is uniquely for Him. This is a tawheed that will get you out. This is the tawheed that comes from not following your caprice or your passions. And this is why Allah said, أَفَرَأَيْتَ مِنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهُ هَوَاهُ. Haven't you seen the one who took his passion as his God? And the Prophet ﷺ said, أَبْغَضُ إِلَهٍ عُبِدَ فِي الْأَرْضِ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى هُوَ الْهَوَى. That the thing that Allah, the God that is worshipped in the earth that Allah hates the most is desire. Right? The God that's worshipped. Right? Because there's other gods beside God. Not in reality, but in people's consciousness, in their minds. La ilaha bihaqqin. La ilaha yani illallah. So there's no God bihaqqin in reality except the one true God. But people worship things. People take their nafs as a God. And then he says the next level is dhikr wa tadhkir. And this is misunderstood by a lot of people. So he says now tadhkir has become stories, poetry, fantastic utterances, and all these things. And he said, as for stories, it's a bid'ah. Right? And he'll say later, if there's sound stories, stories of Sahaba, stories of the Prophets that aren't embellished, then that's part of wow. But a lot of the storytelling that arose in the Islamic tradition had fantastical elements to it. And the qasas was seen as something very negative. Once Al-A'mash, one of the great scholars, he went into Basra and he saw a storyteller telling stories, and the storyteller said, حَدَّثَنَا الْأَعْمَشِ. So A'mash went into the middle of the circle and he started plucking his underarm. And the Shaykh said, the Qas, the storyteller said, Ya Shaykh, ala tastahi, aren't you ashamed? He said, why should I be ashamed? I'm in Sunnah and you're telling lies that A'mash told you something. I'm A'mash and I never told you anything. So there were people that just going around and making things up. And the biggest liars, Ahmed ibn Hanbal said, the biggest liars are the Qusas and the Suwal, or Su'al, the storytellers and the beggars. Beggars will tell amazing lies. You know, like if you go to Mecca or Medina, yeah, these people come with these stories and they just spin stories. A lot of them are the same stories because they work together. So they'll have their little bag, it's cut. They'll say they were at Quba and they lost all their money. They're lying about it. So dhikr is remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Ata rahimahullah said, Majlisu dhikrin yukathiru sab'ina majlisan min majalis lahu. This is a really important statement. Ata, who was one of the great tabi'een, said that a gathering of dhikr, and inshallah this is included in them because we're in remembrance of Allah and His Deen, that a gathering of dhikr will expiate 70 gatherings of entertainment, lahu. And we need this now because so many people sit in front, you know, people can't read the Quran very long, but they can sit, watch a movie for 2 hours, no problem. You know, but a lecture for 2 hours, they can't sit through it, right? Knowledge, things like this, they don't. So he's saying to do that, and then Ahmed ibn Hanbal said, "Ma ahwaj al-nas ila qasin sadiq." People need truthful storytellers. You know, because stories is part of our tradition. The Quran, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us ahsan al-qasas, the best stories. So he says, if it's from the Prophet stories, if he's giving a sound riwayah, the Prophet told stories. He told the story of the 3 men. One was bald, one had leprosy, one was blind, and the angel came in the form. That's in Sahih Muslim. So the Prophet ﷺ told stories. Stories are very useful, but the danger is these embellished stories. And then Ash'ar, he warns about that too much. And it was shu'ara, itba'uhum al-ghawun, they're followed by the itba'uhum al-ghawun, alam tara annahum fi kulli wadin yahimun, wandering about, yaquluna ma la yaf'alun. And then he talks about the shatahat. And the shatahat are things that some of the excessive Sufis would say, outrageous statements. And he talks about 2 different kinds. One that's false claims, you know, and you should always, if you see people that start telling you they saw the Prophet in a dream or this, that, or that, that's always red flags. They're either ignorant or they're a con artist. And one of my favorite, when I was studying Arabic literature, one of my favorite writers was Badi'u Zaman al-Hamadani, who wrote Maqamat. And he had a character in there, the main character, Abu al-Fath al-Iskandari. And he was basically a religious charlatan. And I thought it was very interesting. Like, at the time, I didn't think about it in that way, that I came to later realize that he was really warning people about religious charlatans, because there's a lot of them out there. And religion, because people, it's very hard for people to imagine somebody lying to them about God or about the Prophet, but people do it. There are a lot of liars out there. And there's a lot of people just, they're out to get your money, and they'll come with all these stories, and also beware of people that build you up and tell you, you know, you're supposed to, you know, you don't throw dirt in their face. You know, there's a hadith. It's actually, you pick it up. If somebody's praising you, the sunnah was to pick it up and then just do that. In other words, I'm dust. You know, it's like I'm nothing. You know, that's what you're doing. ترى في وجوه المداحين. It's just to remind them and yourself, I'm nothing, just dust. Zygote that got out of control. Right? And he said that this art form, has great harm for common people. You know, and so making false claims, you can fool people, so especially simple village people, you know, the pir. There's all these pirs that go, and they're simple people, they charge money, they write them you know, like the hijab, they call it, what do they call it in Pakistan? Ta'weez. You know, they write ta'weez, charge them money. The only ta'weez you need is قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ and قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ. Teach people that. That's all they need. They don't need it. You don't need to wear anything. It's permissible to wear something from the Quran. The Prophet, there's a riwayat, put things on Hassan and Hussein. Most of that is for people that have a lot of waswasa. Sometimes it helps them psychologically. It's like a placebo. You know, it'll help them, you know, just calm them down. And we seek refuge with kalimati tammati. You know, so it's not saying that it's not me, but Allah is the protector. The hijab will not protect you. Allah is the protector. So that's important to remember that. And then he said that there's a type of shatah that's just, it's almost like a madness. And he said that they'll say some things that are confusing. I'm aware of the time. I want to get through this. And then finally, he goes into something really important, which is about the bataniya and in this area, that, you know, the occultists, they want to destroy Sharia, and they want to destroy it through false interpretations. And so this is some of the you know, the extreme Sufis that argued that Sharia wasn't necessary for them. I mean, you had that. And unfortunately, every group has people that go astray like that. And then finally, the last word that he goes into is hikmah. And the hikmah is wisdom. And the hakim, he said, can mean a tabib, a doctor, a sha'ir, a poet, a munajjim, an astronomer. And he said even the people that do, like, they do lottery are called so he said that hikmah, وَمَنْ يُؤْتَ الْحِكْمَةَ فَقَدْ أُوتِيَ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. Those that are given wisdom have been given great knowledge. كَلِمَةٌ مِنَ الْحِكْمَةِ يَتَعَلَّمُهَا الرَّجُلُ خَيْرٌ لَهُ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا وَمَا فِيهَا. To learn a hikmah and then is better than the world and what's in it. And so hikam can be like aphorisms. Much of the hadith, I mean, it's all hikmah. But the hikmah is the opposite of like abath, you know, meaninglessness. Hikmah is wisdom, and it's the highest of those intellectual virtues, the hikmah. The Prophet ﷺ spoke in pure wisdom. All of his sayings are wise. And Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah has a very important statement. And every Muslim should know this, because it's like a standard to judge your faith. Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah said, Al-Islam hikmatun kulluha, wa rahmatun kulluha, wa maslahatun kulluha, wa adlun kulluha. Right? So he said the Sharia Shari'atullah, the Sharia, is hikmah. All of Sharia is hikmah. And all of Sharia is rahmah. And all of Sharia is maslahah. And all of Sharia is justice. So he said, فَإِذَا انْتَقَلَتْ مِنَ الْحِكْمَةِ إِلَى الْعَبَثِ, if it goes from wisdom to foolishness, it's not from the Sharia. إِذَا انْتَقَلَتْ مِنَ الرَّحْمَةِ إِلَى ضِدِّهَا, if it goes from mercy to cruelty, it's not from the Sharia. إِذَا انْتَقَلَتْ مِنَ الْمَصْلَحَةِ إِلَى الْمَفْسَدَةِ, if it goes from welfare to harm, it's not from the Sharia. وَإِذَا انْتَقَلَ مِنَ الْعَدْلِ إلى الجور, if it goes from what's just to what's unjust, it's not from Sharia. And that's a really good standard for people just to use your common sense about things. Because if it doesn't seem right, it's probably not right. So he says, this is what has happened, and he blames it on what he calls ulama as-su'. And he says, now listen to this. All of this is min talbisati ulama as-su'. All of this is from these bad ulama. فَإِنَّ شَرَّهُمْ أَعْظَمُ عَلَى الدِّينِ مِنْ شَرِّ الشَّيَاطِينِ إذا الشيطان بواسطتهم يتذرع إلى انتزاع الدين من قلوب الخلق ولهذا لما سئل رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم عن شر الخلق أبى وقال اللهم غفر حتى كرر عليه ثم قال هم علماء السوء. And the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم was asked, he said that all of this comes from the bad ulama. And he said they're worse for this religion than the demons. In fact, he said, Shaitan, through them, has been able to remove the religion from the hearts of people. You can see why they burnt his book. And then he said, and this is why the Prophet ﷺ, when he was asked, who are the worst people? He refused to answer initially. And they kept asking him, until finally he said, ulama us-su'. Bad ulama. فَقَدْ عَرَفْتَ الْعِلْمَ الْمَحْمُودُ وَالْمَذْمُومُ. Now you know what's praiseworthy and what's blameworthy. إِلَيْكَ الْخِيرَةُ فِي أَن تَنْظَرْ لِنَفْسِكَ. Now you have the choice, look for yourself. Who do you want to follow? The Salaf? Or do you want to go the way of this deluded people? Because the Salaf, their knowledges have disappeared. And what people are following, most of it is mubtada'un muhdath. It's all bid'ah and innovated. وَقَدْ صَحَّ قَوْلُ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم بَدَأَ الْإِسْلَامُ غَرِيبًا. I mean, this is 1,000 years ago, people. And it's true what the Prophet ﷺ said. Islam began as a strange thing. وَسَيَعُودُ غَرِيبًا كَمَا بَدَأَ. And it's going to return as a strange thing. فَطُوبَ لِلْغُرَبَاءِ. Blessed are the strangers. فَقِيلَ مَنِ الْغُرَبَاءُ يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ قَالَ الَّذِينَ يُصْلِحُونَ مَا أَفْسَدُهُ النَّاسُ مِنْ سُنَّتِي. Who are the strangers, O Messenger of Allah? Those who rectify what people have corrupted from my way. وَالَّذِينَ يُحْيُونَ مَا أَمَاتُوهُ مِنْ سُنَّتِي. And those who bring to life. That's why he called it Ihya. Those who bring to life what people have caused to die from my way. الغرباء ناس قليل صالحون بين ناس كثيرا من يبغضهم أكثر ممن يحبهم. In another riwayah that Ahmad relates, the strangers are a few people who are righteous amongst many people. Those that don't like them are more than those that like them. وَقَدْ صَارَتْ تِلْكَ الْعُلُومُ غَرِيبًا. All these sciences have become strange. يُمْقَتُ ذَاكِرُهَا. If you remind people of them, they don't like you. وَلِذَلِكَ قَالَ الثَّوْرِي رَحِمُهُ اللَّهِ إِذَا رَأَيْتَ الْعَالَمْ كَثِيرَ الْأَصْدِقَاءِ فَاعْلَمْ أَنَّهُ مُخَلَّطٌ. This is why Thawri said, if you see an alim that's got a lot of friends, you should know he's mixing things. لِأَنَّهُ إِن نَطَقَ بِالْحَقِّ أَبْغَضُوهُ. Because if he speaks the truth, people aren't going to like to hear it. And then he goes about the amount of knowledge that you should learn from these. And he basically just says that the most important knowledge is to learn, I'll finish this, because this is actually really important. He says it's very important to focus on what you need. And I would recommend reading Ayyuha al-Walad, because he wrote that at the end of his life. It's a very important book, because he just says, and this is a man who mastered all the sciences of his time. He was an engineer, he knew handasa, he knew medicine, he had it all, really. The man was one of the great human geniuses in history. So this is a man who spent his life mastering everything. And he was, of all people, he is I think, the most trustworthy in this assessment. He said, don't waste your life learning a lot of useless information. Learn Arabic grammar and what you need to understand the Book of Allah and the Sunnah of the Prophet. Don't spend your life learning grammar. He said it's a waste of your life. Your time is precious. And then he said, don't spend your life learning all the details and khilafat and all these things. Learn what you need to get to your Lord. And so he said that people love, he said for theology, all you need is my book, Al-I'tiqad fi al-I'tiqad. And that's the second book in the Ihya. So it's 100 pages. That's all. He said that's all you need. You don't need any more than that. He said don't go deep into these things. He said that don't go into jadal. Now this is really important. I'll end with this. He said you can benefit people as long as fanaticism hasn't got hold of them. Did you get that? Listen to this. None of this will benefit with common people if ta'assub has gotten hold of them, fanaticism. أما المبتدع بعد أن يعلم من الجدل ولو شيئا يسيرا فقل ما ينفع معه الكلام. Once a mubtadi' gets hold of dialectic, argumentation, there's nothing you could do to benefit him. Even if you beat him in your argument, he won't leave his way. Why? He said, a common person, you can bring him back if you have a good argument, as long as the fanaticism hasn't got hold of him. Once it gets hold of him, فَإِذَا اشْتَدَّ تَعَصُبُهُمْ وَقَعَ الْيَأْسُ عَنْهُم, we have to despair from them. And then he said, إِذْ التَّعَصُبُ سَبَبٌ يُرَسِّخَ الْعَقَائِدَ فِي النُّفُوسِ. Fanaticism is one of the means by which things become deeply embedded in a person's personality. وَهَذا أيضا من آفات علماء السوء. He said, this is one of the hallmarks of bad ulama. فَإِنَّهُمْ يُبَالِغُونَ فِي التَّعَصُبِ لِلْحَقِّ. They exaggerate their fanaticism for the truth. وَيَنْظُرُونَ إِلَى الْمُخَالِفِينَ بِعَيْنِ الْإِزْدِرَاءِ وَالِاسْتِحْقَارِ. And they look at anybody that disagrees with them as being contemptible and low. فَيَنْبَعِثُ مِنْهُمَ الدَّوَاعِي بِالْمُكَافَأَةِ وَالْمُقَابَلَةِ وَتَتَوَفَّرُ بَوَاعِثُهُمْ عَلَى طَلَبِ نُصْرَةِ الْبَاطِلِ. They begin to actually support batil in this fanaticism. وَيَقْوَى غَرَضُهُمْ فِي التَّمَسُّكِ بِمَا نُسِبُوا إِلَيْهِ. And then, because they're attributed to this school or whatever they're in, he said it becomes very strong in them. And then he says, had they come, وَلَوْ جَاءُوا مِنْ جَانِبِ اللُّطْفِ وَالرَّحْمَةِ وَالنُّصْحِ فِي الْخَلْوَةِ. If they came with gentleness, with kindness, with a lack of harshness, taking people privately, not saying it openly, condemning them openly, you're this and you're that, and no, just take them aside and give them good advice. He said, لَا فِي مَعْرَضَ التَّعَصُّبِ وَالتَّحْقِيرِ. Not with your fanaticism and your I'm the only way, and your belittling and your contemptibility towards them, they would have been successful. Now, here's the key. All right, this is the key. Now, he's spilling a big secret right here. ولكن لما كان الجاه لا يقوم إلا بالاستتباع. When stature and prominence only comes from having a lot of followers, right? How many you have on your Twitter, right? Oh, he's got 2 million. Well, Lady Gaga's got 22 million. You know, it's no big deal, right? But those people that want lots of followers, لا يستمر الأتباع مثل التعصب واللعن والشتم للخصوم. Nothing will give you followers better than being a fanatic, cursing others, attacking others, right? That's how you get your followers. اتخذوا التعصب عادتهم وآلتهم. They took this fanaticism as their habit and their tool. وسموه ذبا عن الدين. And they called it defending the religion. ونضالا عن المسلمين. And defending the Muslims. وفيه على التحقيق هلاك الخلق. But in reality, they've destroyed the people. ورسوخ البدعة في النفوس. أما الخلافيات التي أحدثت في هذه العصارى المتأخرة وأبدع فيها من التحريرات والتصنيفات ومن المجادلات ما لم يعهد مثلها في السلف. As for all these differences that they brought forward in these later ages, and they have all these books and all these arguments and all these things that the Salaf didn't do, فَإِيَّاكَ أَن تَحُومَ حَوْلَهَا. Woe unto you that you should start circulating around these things. وَاجْتَنِبْهَا اجْتِنَابَ السِّمَّ الْقَاتِلِ. Avoid it like you avoid deadly poison. فَإِنَّهَا الدَّاءُ الْعُضَالِ. Because it's a disease that will never be cured. وَهُوَ الَّذِي رَدَّ الْفُقَهَاءَ كُلُّهُمْ إِلَى طَرْبِ الْمُنَافَسَةِ وَالْمُبَاهَةِ. Right? Now, and we'll end here. Maybe some people will say, النَّاسُ أَعْدَاءُ مَا جَهِلُوا. People are just ignorant. They're enemies of things that they're ignorant of. Like, in other words, you're just saying this because you don't really know the situation. Like, we're defending the religion, blah, blah, blah. فَلَا تَظُنَّنَّ ذَلِكَ. Don't think that. فَعَلَى الْخَبِيرِ سَقَطَّ. You have found the expert. فَقْبَلْ هَذِهِ النَّصِيحَةِ. Accept this sound advice. مِمَّنْ ضَيْعَ الْعُمْرَ فِيهِ زَمَانًا. From a man who wasted a good portion of his life in this very thing I'm talking about. وَقَدْ زَادَ فِيهِ عَلَى الْأَوَّلِينَ تَصْنِيفًا وَتَحْقِيقًا وَجَدَلًا وَبَيَانًا. And I did it better than the people before me in my writing, in my rigor, in my dialectic, and in my elucidation. I mean, he's saying it right there. I was the best at this. I knew it better than anybody. So take this. ثُمَّ أَلْهَمَهُ اللَّهُ. I mean, he's talking in third person out of humility. And then God inspired him رُشْدَهُ وَأَطْلَعُهُ عَلَى عَيْبِهِ, and showed him his own faults. فَهَجَرَهُ وَاشْتَغَلَ بِنَفْسِهِ. So he abandoned this way and he began preoccupied with his own heart. ولا يغرنك قول من يقول الفتوى عماد الشرع ولا تعرف علله إلا بعلم الخلاف. Don't be deluded by people that say, oh, fatwa is the basis of our religion and you only know it if you know all these differences. Anyway, he goes on, but that's a really important point. He said, كن من الشياطين الجن في أمان. Be safe from these demons. واحترس من شياطين الإنس. And guard yourself. Just shayateen al-jins are easy to handle. Mu'awwidhatayn. He's saying, really guard yourself from the human demons. فَإِنْهُمْ أَرَاحُ شَيَاطِينَ الْجِنِّ. They've given a vacation to the jinn. مِنَ التَّعْبِ فِي الْإِغْوَاءِ وَالْإِضْلَالِ. By leading people astray. They're doing a much better job at it. So, Allahu Akbar. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. This is this is it. It's our crises. The Prophet said, إذا رأيت شحا مطاعا والدنيا مؤثرة وإعجاب كل ذي رأي برأي فعليك بخاصة نفسك لا يضرك من ضل. If you see this world preferred over the next world, if you see the people covetous and no longer generous with what God's given them, and you see every opinionated person amazed at their own opinion. It's called Twitter, folks. If you see every opinionated person amazed at their own opinion, how clever they are, how much they have to share with the world. You know, once you see that, the Prophet said, take care of your own soul. So I say, oh, this is quietism. You're abandoning haqq. طيب تفضلوا. Yeah, good luck. I mean, we've got majaneen out there. This is mad. This place has gone mad. It's gone mad. You can't even talk to people anymore. Huh? Were you going to say something? No. No, go ahead. تفضل. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. جزاكم الله خيرا.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. I have a few announcements, important announcements about tomorrow, about the schedule. So if you bear with me 1 minute, and then inshallah, we'll pray Isha right after that, inshallah. So tomorrow, as you know, that alhamdulillah, you've got the morning off, alhamdulillah. And so, but there's a few important things, which is that